Greetings, this is Fred in Alaska, Curry Young Tribal Council member from Dillingham. I'd like to welcome you to Alaska. It's finally not so much snow packed. I can get out, sit down outside somewhere. It's trying to be beautiful, so I'm going to take advantage. Got some thank yous going out. Rachel Sandwick got the GoPro 8, learning how to use it. Videos will get better resolution, all that, better sound. Miss Liz for the banner on the homepage, if you guys check that out. Liz does those. She specializes in pets with her graphic art, so anyone needs something like that done, check her out. Watercolor for donations on Facebook. Check it out. She does really good work. There's some other thank yous coming once I get some things squared away. Sorry, I had to hike up a small mountain on my back property here to get up here, but gotta break in sometime, right? So my proposal goes before the tribal council tomorrow morning, and what that proposal is I don't need their permission. We all speak for ourselves. Not one person can speak for all of us. We all speak, or that type of thing. So I'm basically looking for their blessings and their participation in the documentary, and also their permission to use the organization and get a special ID in order to apply for the the National Endowment of the Arts. They got some grant funding and whatnot, so I'm getting information for that. It's going to be a process, so since it's going to take a while, I figured there's some encounters that happen fairly close to where I am now, and they were within the last couple of years, and these people are still there, so I may just go there and just let them explain what happened. Not to necessarily investigate anything, but just to have them point out it was here, it ran there, that type of thing. Figure that might kill some time waiting on this funding thing as far as the documentary. A lot of background stuff going on. I know shit about writing a grant or any of that crap. It's just, you need a house built. Hey, I'm your guy. All this computer stuff, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So whatever, it'll work itself out. This encounter I want to share with you. This particular guy, he no longer lives at this place, which is just north of Willow a little ways, and his property is not far from the Susitna River. His experience was last fall. His dog had been missing for about a week, almost 2 weeks, and this particular dog was really old. It was about 16, 17 years old, and he assumed the dog went off to die, which, dogs would do that kind of thing, same with cats. Well, he decides he sees this path across the river there, and he wants to go check it out. So he goes, and he finds a shallow spot, and he gets across, and then he backtracks to this trail, and he starts going down it. Off to his right, he's going through black spruce and some cottonwoods and some fairly young birch trees. Someone had gone through there some time before and knocked down a bunch of the old growth birch, probably for firewood, and from the stumps it had small little things growing out of it, like this one, this here, because you got it resting on a stump. Make use of what you got, right? So he's going through there and he's checking it out, and he feels like he's being watched. He can't put his finger on it. So as he's going through these trees, very similar to what's behind me here, we got some birch directly behind me, or no, those are cottonwoods, some cottonwoods, birch, and some spruce back over there. So basically the same type of terrain you see behind me now. If I'm looking around, there's a mama moose somewhere back over here. Scream if she's coming up to trample me. Anyway, so as he's going along and he's going down this path, it is fairly open, but off to his right is where the alders, they get thicker and they're kind of bushed up. And as he's going along, there's some movement he hears over there, and he's like, huh, I wonder if that's my dog. Of course, he, you know, for almost 17 years, that's unconditional love. So, of course, he's going to head over to check it out. As he's walking over, and it's approximately 30 yards from his position, he felt no danger, had no inclining of just anything bad or out of the ordinary, you know, which, you know, it's kind of... Anyway, let me continue. I'm going to get caught up in a thought on that, and I don't want to do that. So he's continuing over there, and the bushes just really come alive. And then he hears a real guttural growl. And he was like, that's not my dog. I hope it's not a bear chewing on my dog. I don't want to see that. So he backs out. You know, he's smart about it. He backs away. You know, he wasn't armed. He just went to go check out a trail, you know, not far from his property. No harm, no foul. Well, he gets back to it just as the trees thicken up right close to the riverbank. He was getting back to that area when he noticed something was being thrown at him. He kept hearing things land in the shrubs beside him, but he couldn't make anything out. So he turned around and he's trying to figure out what the hell. And this piece of a foot, a leg, lands almost at his feet, just into some bushes, and then it flopped on the trail by him. Thought nothing of it at first. He's kind of looking at it, trying to figure out what it is. And this particular dog that had been missing was all white except for some black socks basically on its feet. And it was one of those legs. Oh, God. Me, I'm a dog lover, man. Cats are cute. I got no use for them, you know. But I've always loved dogs. Grew up with a sled dog team. So he was kind of in shock, standing there staring, because he's recognizing that's a piece of my dog. So he looks back in the direction of the bushes, and he sees movement back behind there, but it looks like a bear, because it looked like to be on all fours, kind of pacing back and forth through the brush, but the growling going on was not like that of a bear. It was too long, too deep, and it just too different. Way too different than what you would typically expect. So as he's contemplating, still in shock, like he's still trying to wrap his mind around about his dog's leg at his feet. I couldn't. I've seen some shit, but to have like your piece of your loved one's corpse chucked at you, and who knows what it was, a warning, knew it was his dog, I have no clue. It's all speculation. Well, so he snaps himself out of it because all of a sudden the movement turns into all-out movement towards him, just out of view in those shrubs. So he's kind of shocked, and he went to start backing up, and then he's seen this thing transition from 4s up to 2s, just out of view with the tree line, and he was perplexed, still in shock. Turned to run, but just was like contemplating taking the piece of his dog with him to bury it or something. He was in shock. I could imagine in that moment what it would be like, you know. All of a sudden, a piece of your loved ones at your feet. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So, as he's still in shock, this thing moves around and is coming back on his back trail. Now he's not that far. He's made it maybe 80 yards down this path from the riverbank. So he's not that far. He just cleared the trees that line the river, and then it opens up into some marshy and tundra areas and whatnot, and a bump and muskeg back in there. So he wasn't far, but this thing circled around. Now, as it's circling around, it dawns on him, I need to get the fuck out of here because it's circling up on me. So he leaves the dog's leg, turns and cuts down the trail, and he's hauling ass at this point, and he can hear this big thing moving through the trees, not paralleling him, but like moving to cut off his forward progression. So he was a highly motivated track star that day. So he continues running. He gets to the river's edge, and at where he's at is right in front of a deep hole, and but it's pretty much shallow outside of this deep hole. So he backs up about 10 feet, and this noise had stopped. So he looks over to his left, and he sees this movement behind a tree. Well, it was actually a group of trees, probably similar to, what's over this shoulder right there. He saw movement, something peeking out, something going back. Now, he didn't know what to do. He was shocked because he knew it was on 2 feet. It shaped humanoid, but massive. So this thing wasn't hiding, but it was kind of like the deer putting its head, behind the tree. You could still see its body. That's what he said it reminded him of, like it, because it wasn't putting eyes on him. Somehow he wouldn't be able to see this big massive thing. Who knows? So he gets stuck staring at this thing and is trying to contemplate, what do I do? I could imagine at this point he had resolved himself that he's going to jump into the river to get the hell out of Dodge. I can't say as I wouldn't. I would be all over jumping in there. I don't even think I'd still be standing at that particular point. However, I wasn't there. No judgment, John. I get it. It's shocking when you're accosted by something like this and you have no reference point. You thinking it's a bear or something like that, and then it's just totally mind altering for sure. So he's contemplating everything going on. Meanwhile, this thing is making these movements, and he takes his gaze off it just for a moment to check the depth of the water again, kind of contemplating how cold it's going to be, because it had stopped. So all this aggression had stopped, but it was still right there. So he glances away, pondering how far he'd have to jump, or if he's going to dive, just things of this nature. And then he looks back, and there's nothing there. So he's like, oh. So he calmed down, right? He's like, okay, it's gone. And then he started thinking, well, is my mind playing tricks on me? Because he felt he should have been able to hear it leave or watch it leave, but, because it made noise as it was coming, then all of a sudden just poof, gone. So he starts really looking, like intently, and he notices it slipping from trees to trees. As he's turning this way, he notices out of the corner of his eye the movement. So he's, he catches on to what's going on and starts adjusting he's turning his head but looking out the side of his eye, and he sees this thing moving back along, but it's circling back to where he was just at with the dog leg. He decides, what, the dog's gone. I'm not gonna try to retrieve this carcass. I don't know if it's eating it. I don't know. He had already resolved that the dog was dead anyway. So he was just going to leave it at that. Hey, fair enough, I get it. Move on. That type of thing. So he's struggling with accepting what he's seeing. He's staring at his feet, and he can hear noises going on around him, but he's in this surreal shock of what's going on. Why is this going on here? And so he snaps out of it. He catches himself. Now, when I was talking to him about it, he was taking long pauses, and I would have to kind of, so what happened next? Sorry to interrupt, but he was in deep thought. I think what it was is he was envisioning at that point this thing ripping his dog apart, but he had no clue if that's exactly what had happened or not. So, speculation. Anyway, he turns around and he decides he's not going to jump into the river. He's going to go back up river a little ways and cross across these rocks to where, because this thing wasn't actively being aggressive at that point. It was just slipping around like a phantom. And it just so happened it was going in the direction real slowly. It's not like it was trying to cut him off, but he realized, I better get moving on this now while I can. And rightfully so, and smartly, he started going down the trail. And he had his escape plan. He's going to go across the Susitna if he has to, This particular point where he has to cross, it's not the easiest place to cross. It's not necessarily a small river. But this particular point, he could navigate the way he got across relatively easy, with the swiftness of the water or whatever. So, he didn't want to have to swim. Now, I know I'm repeating this, but he repeated it to me. So I'm telling you as how he conveyed it to me, I'm conveying it to you. Don't like it, bye. So he's continuing down the trail, and the movement he hears starting behind him. It's no longer off to his right hand side now. The movement's behind him. And as he's going along the trail, he's trying not to look. He's lost mentally. He's trying to put all these pieces together that don't fit. And because he'd been there lifelong, never had a peeking, never had anything go missing, nothing. No longer lives there now. So he's going along and he's contemplating all these things, and he hears the noises behind him, but he doesn't really want to look. But he's very cognizant of the fact that it's not horribly far behind him, and it can move silently, you know. He's getting up to this little crossing point, which is a cluster of rocks, shallow area, some more rocks, a little deeper area, and then some more rocks to get across. So it's not just a crossing a creek, you know, just understand that. Now, as he's getting up, there's another trail that comes from where people come from a different road and come down there to do the fishing from the bank, right? So as these two trails are merging, it's damn near right at that point where he's going to cross back across. Now, as he's going along, he hears the noise behind him, but off to his right-hand side, he notices movement going off back to his right-hand side. And he's concerned, and he turns and looks, and it looked like his neighbor's dog. And he's wondering, well, I wonder why the neighbor's dog is over here, right? So he chalks it up, neighbor's problem. You know, hopefully it doesn't happen to his dog what I'm dealing with on mine. So he's getting onto the rocks to go back across. And just as he is, here's splashing. Rocks a little bigger than a softball were being chucked just at points where he was going to be crossing. He didn't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it. Usually they throw rocks to get you out of there, or scare you or something. So he just starts making his way. He does this thing. He gets across, and the trail that cuts back towards his property is a lot narrower than the one on the other side where people come from a different road and go down there and fish. Well, he's going along the narrow road, and he notices a familiar patch of fur from his dog that was missing. And what he surmises is that it threw it straight, because where this particular piece of the dog was directly straight across the river from where he entered the trail and where the dog leg was further up. So he's assuming this thing just flung it across the river so he would see it on his way back to his property. He didn't give exact specifics on where he exactly was, but it's just north of me. I mean, just that direction is where this went down. The Susitna River is back over here. It wraps. It goes all the way. It goes ways. So, you know, these things I struggle with. Are they our friends? Not here in Alaska. I have not had a single email, a single conversation with anyone to where it was a joyous, like, calm, peaceful thing. It's always some form of aggression or predatory behavior, which is very, very concerning. Oh, got the state troopers coming. I've been here the whole time. If they ask, I've been here the whole time. It wasn't me. So, again, thank you to those people. There's more kudos coming. I'm waiting for some verification on some things before I, make a whole list. I might just start putting it on an end plate or something on this. I'm still learning this shit, so bear with me. There was something else. Anyone wanting to share their experience, no matter how mundane. I have some that are just screams and owl hoots off in the distance. I'm waiting to get enough of those to make one complete video out of them. Otherwise, it would be 2 minutes of me telling you what happened, even if I drew it out and tried to touch on every little detail, it'd still be a 5-minute video. So leave that alone for now. People like Joe and some other people. There's some comments in the comment section too about Thimbleberry Lake and Baranof Island. I'm getting to those. Don't worry. There's other things going on, so I'll be addressing those things. Anyone wanting to share, AlaskaHairymanProject@gmail.com or nocomp907@gmail.com. Also, those people subscribing to Fred in Alaska under the No Comp, that's just my own, for like business. That's my email account for business or whatever. If you're joining that as part of this, it's a waste of time. I don't post anything there. That type of thing. That I started this website or this email account strictly for the Alaska Hairy Man Project, Subarctic Alaska Sasquatch. Forgive me, I'm deep in thought about some of these shares. They're very concerning as far as safety goes. It kind of makes you wonder why certain things are being held back, and a lot of it I think has to do with so many people not speaking on their experience. There's a lot of people. I've had at least 30 people just want to tell me. So they're little pinpoints on a map, but they didn't want to share it. They didn't want me to speak on it. And there's at least 30 of those, which I understand. Respect your privacy. You won't hear me talk about what happened to you here. You never will. If you ask to be anonymous and just want to share so I can, put a pin on the map, cool. All I ask is if you do share in that way, at least let me know the nature of it. Screaming, howling, off in the distance, saw it running, whatever it may be. It's irrelevant. Just, so I can kind of put a pin in the general area. And I believe that's about it as far as this is concerned. I'm going to be uploading 2 more encounter videos today. I was trying to figure out some background things, so I was sidetracked. So I'm going to get those wrapped up and hopefully get them posted shortly after this one. Until then, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one.